This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We look now at the deadly war on drugs in the Philippines, which has been underway since President Rodrigo Duterte took office in June of 2016. Thousands of drug users and dealers have been killed in police operations or by vigilantes. Thousands more have been arrested and crammed into prisons like the Quezon City Jail, which sometimes holds 4,000 people in an area built to hold 800. For more, we're joined in New York by an incredibly brave, award-winning photojournalist, Raffy Lerma, who is usually based in the Philippines, where he has documented President Duterte's so-called war on drugs. A warning to our viewers, many of his images show graphic violence. A 2016 Huffington Post profile described one of his nights on the job like this, quote, "Photographer Raffy Lerma was only a few minutes into the overnight shift for the Philippine Daily Inquirer when he received word that 3 bodies had been found on the streets of Manila. Out he went to capture the image. Then there was a drug bust, and a few hours later, an extrajudicial killing. It was his first night back on the shift, and he was shocked by the rate the calls were coming in." Raffy Lerma joins us now in our New York studio. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Raffy.
Thank you for having me.
Describe what's happening in the Philippines right now.
It's really overwhelming what's happening in the Philippines right now. There are close to 14,000 people have been killed in this, the name of the drug war, and 4,000 of which have been claimed by police in police operations. They claim that they have killed 4,000 people, and the rest are unexplained killings. Those they say that are deaths under investigation, and some of them are the vigilante killings. And well, yes, so many people have been killed.
One of Raffy Lerma's most famous photographs documents President Duterte's war on drugs, showing a woman, Jenilyn Olaides, grieving as she cradles the lifeless body of her husband, Michael Ciaron. Next to him is a sign left by his killers that reads, "I am a drug pusher. Do not copy." Raffy, your photo is known as the Pieta image because it echoes the Pieta sculpture in the Vatican that shows the Virgin Mary cradling the dead body of Jesus. Talk about the night that you took this photograph.
Well, I could remember still what happened that night. We came from another crime scene. Actually, Michael Ciaron was the third killing that night out of 4. And I could already see that there was a strong picture. It's rarely you see a family member inside the police cordon and beside the victim. And she was holding on to her partner, Michael Ciaron. And when later on I interviewed Jenilyn Olaides, and she told me she wanted to feel if the body of Michael Ciaron was still hot or warm, if he was still alive. And also I could remember still how she was telling us to stop taking pictures and just to help them.
And how did you feel about that?
To be honest, like a vulture.
You felt like a vulture?
Yes. And we were praying on taking pictures, and we couldn't do anything. And well, I have to do my job, but it was really, you felt you wanted to do something more, but you also have to do your job.
And how does Jenilyn feel now about this picture you took that has become so famous? She has become this image very much showing the pain of what is happening. I mean, you're talking about, like more than 10 people killed on average every night. And we're talking about by police, by vigilantes all coordinated in this war on drugs that is coordinated by the president of your country, the Philippines, Duterte?
Well, it's hard to speak for Jeneline. I'm still in contact with her and their family, but she would rather not remember it and remember what happened that night. She wants to, of course, forget about it and move on. But still, it's hard.
Did she tell you about Michael and who he was?
Of course. And I remember, too, that I think it was 4 days later, I went to the wake of Michael Sharon. And first, the family members were hesitant of letting media to the wake because first, of course, what happened that night, and kind of they were feasted upon. Everyone taking their pictures and film crews.
It came about because of your photograph, which Duterte specifically addressed.
Yes.
Clearly, you got to him.
Yes.
Because you captured what is happening on his streets with his own so-called law enforcement forces. He called your photograph overly dramatic and criticized it as fake?
Yes, he did mention it in the State of the Nation address. He did mention that. He said it was overly dramatic and you're being portrayed like Mother Mary and Jesus Christ. I really felt sorry for the Jeneline Liars and the family of Michael Sharon because they're already grieving, and he should have given them that dignity already for me. But the second part is, I think, I'm not sure, again with the word, if I was vindicated, that the photo was mentioned during the State of the Nation address, that it reached the person who had to be reached. It was the president. And now people began talking about the drug war and the killings. And
can you describe your night shift, Raffy? What does that mean? When does your day start? And what exactly do you do?
Well, we start around 9 p.m. the night, and we usually hang out in this press office located at beside the police station, the Manila Police District main headquarters in Manila. And in that press office, most journalists, we monitored what's going in the night, the killings, and we share the information. Sometimes, most of the times, you go out as a group in going to these crime scenes and stay there until 4 a.m., but sometimes until 5 a.m. Before, especially the first 6 months, 4 to 5 a.m. is usually the time where the street sweepers will find those being killed with a summer execution, those people wrapped in packaging tape. And sometimes we extend.
Why are they wrapped in packaging tape?
To be honest, I don't know. It might be a scare tactic. It's meant to sow fear among people, and they are made to be faceless, these victims.
Like mummies.
Probably. And they place, usually they have these cardboards saying that they are drug pushers.
They leave these notes on cardboard.
Yes.
And who are these vigilantes?
I do not know. Some of the reports, say they are being paid by people with, authority, or they have handlers, basically.
Do police do this as well?
Cannot say that, but there were reports too, especially in the amnesty. There was an amnesty report saying that some police were paid.
Does Duterte condone the killings?
No. It's not condoned the killings. Actually, in many of his speeches, he was instigating the killing of the...
Right, I don't mean he condemns. Does he endorse the killings?
Yes.
Does he promote them? Does he say that that's the right thing to do?
Yes. He was saying that in several of his speeches, many of his speeches. But now, I don't know, he's been maybe saying less of it now.
The number of people who are killed and the kinds of neighborhoods they come from. Can you describe these neighborhoods?
Well, these are really impoverished neighborhoods. And these are slums. These are like the house of Michael Serron. He was living in the middle of a creek full of garbage. That was your typical drug pusher, alleged drug pusher. And
this is the enemy that Duterte is trying to rid the Philippines of.
I can say most of the killings are poor, are the poor. I've also covered people like getting caught with millions of drugs worth, but they're alive. They get due process, they go to court, they're not dying. And these people, they get killed with 200 pesos worth of drugs. That's around $4. That's your life in the Philippines. It's not fair.
You go out every night, you're covering bullet-ridden bodies, you're seeing people who were tortured. How does this affect you personally?
Well, it's been physically and emotionally but compared to these, the victims' families, I think I cannot compare myself to the grief they're going to. So I just have to do it.
Why? Why do you think it's important to take the photographs you take?
At first, yes, we were thinking that when we cover this, there will be changes, that this might stop. This will end the killings. That was, of course, what we intended to do, but it's not stopping. Now it's more of documenting this, and hopefully people will realize maybe 10, 15 years from now that this documentation is important, and in the hopes that this does not happen again.
Your thoughts on President Trump visiting the Philippines? Trump shocked many when he talked about his admiration for Duterte. I want to go to a clip of Philippines President Duterte. In his own words, last September, Duterte likened himself to Hitler.
Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. Now, there's a 3 million drug addicts. There are. I'd be happy to slaughter them. At least, if Germany had Hitler, the Philippines would have. But, you know, my victims, I would like to be all criminals.
Philippines President Duterte, your thoughts on what he said, talking about Hitler and more?
Well, if they're not owning up to these killings, I don't know what. I mean, he's the president, and saying this does not help in solving the killings. He's instigating, he's promoting it.
And then you have our president, the President of the United States, President Trump, who seemed to endorse the so-called war on drugs of Duterte. Duterte, who spoke with Trump by telephone, said Trump was quite sensitive to our worry about drugs. He wishes me well, said Duterte. In my campaign, he said, we're doing it as a sovereign nation the right way. And I want to share with you the words of President Trump. I just wanted to congratulate you because I am hearing the unbelievable job on the drug problem, Trump said in an April 29th phone call, according to a leaked transcript of the conversation with Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte, published by The Intercept and also obtained by The Washington Post and The New York Times. Trump said, many countries have the problem. We have a problem. But what a great job you are doing, and I just wanted to call and tell you that, President Trump said.
Well, sorry to say this, but I hope what's happening in the Philippines does not happen here. If they're solving the drug problem this way and killing people, I hope it does not happen in America.
And what thoughts do you have on President Trump coming to meet the Philippines President Duterte?
Well, I hope that he is more aware of what the human rights situation is happening in the Philippines, and it should be addressed. He's the leader of the free world. He should set an example, and I hope he says something about it now.
Raffy Lerma, what do you think needs to happen in the Philippines?
For me, let's start with stopping the killings first. Let's go there. And let's find real solutions in solving this drug problem.
What are those solutions?
Well, first, let's build the facilities first. We don't have proper drug rehabilitation centers, jail facilities, and it's also education. There's so much ignorance, like it was in what Carl Hart was saying earlier. I heard it. There's so much ignorance on drug abuse, on drugs in general. Let's find those solutions. It's not killings.
Raffy Lerma, what gives you the strength to go out every night? And are you afraid for your own life? Has it gotten more difficult to document this? You would come right up to the families, the dead bodies. Has it been more difficult the more your photographs have an effect? Do you find the police moving in quicker and stopping you?
Well, what drives me? First, it's been more than a year. It's 1.5 years of covering this. And what's the body killing? The numbers, it's around 14,000 already. So there's 4.5 years to go. I could imagine what the numbers will be when the president ends his term. So that alone, thinking about it, it's that drive. You want this to stop. And talking about the police, well, there was a report by Reuters, and we've seen that police have been taking people who were killed in police operations, and they've been bringing to the hospitals, even if they're dead.
Because?
I don't know. I cannot say, but why do they have to bring to the hospital when they're already dead?
What could possibly be the reason?
For us, media not to cover it.
For you not to show the photographs of the bodies in the streets?
Maybe. I cannot say really what their intentions are, but what's the use?
Are you concerned for your own life?
I don't really want to talk about it because, to be honest, threats have been only on social media. It hasn't gone beyond social media. And to be honest, I don't want to give the idea already to supporters. But hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully it stays that way, that we can still cover. And I don't want to think of myself as that important. We're just doing our job, honestly. I don't really think about that much. Safety, yes. Sometimes in covering, you'll hear the police saying you cannot take pictures, but we know our rights too. We just have to follow procedures. I mean, we don't cross the police line. If it's in public, we have every right to take pictures. You have to document it. If it's inside the homes, well, let's wait until the forensics finish their processing of the crime scene. And if you ask the family if you can take photos from inside.
Do you think your photos could stop the killings?
It's not me alone. It's not through photos alone. We'll be there. We will do our work, but it's the work of everyone. It's a collective effort. Everyone should. The way to stop the killings is for. I hope everyone in the Philippines recognizes this is wrong and they should do something about it. It's not only through photos.
Well, Raffy Lerma, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Raffy Lerma is a photojournalist based in Manila in the Philippines. He was a staff photographer for the Philippine Daily Inquirer, now a freelance journalist who continues to document the government's war on drugs. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us.